and welcome to The Hill is Always Greener, a show where four friends and a guest have chill discussions about Sonic the Hedgehog to distract themselves from the world we live in that is solely needing of a hero like Sonic and other such things. I am your intro host today, Game Buddy. Who is with me today?
I'm Falero, and I am also here avoiding the real world and the various worlds in which Sonic may or may not live in.
I am Cyberlink, and I really should have figured out a way to work the lyrics to Lockdown in before I came up with my intro. It is what it is.
And as I mentioned, we have a guest today, and please introduce yourself.
Hello, it is me, Jeff Bakalar from Giant Bomb. I am the epitome of Sonic. Thank you for having me. It is a damn pleasure. How are you all doing?
As far as I'm concerned, you are the epitome of Sonic, considering how much, New York, New Jersey is in the Sonic Boom cartoon.
Yeah, right? That's a thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
No, that is absolutely a thing. Like, two of the lead writers in that show grew up in New Jersey and inject a lot of that into that show.
Sonic feels like in an alternate universe, it feels like Sonic could have come up from the streets, you know what I mean? Like of suburban
absolutely.
New Jersey, maybe with his weekend trips in Manhattan, getting hardened by that sort of urban life. I think that tracks. I think there's a timeline where that makes sense.
We've already said before we recorded, thank you so much for being here today, Jeff. I can't imagine people our age who are still into video games don't know Giant Bomb, but if you don't, go to Giant Bomb right now and check it out. Recently, the Giant Bomb crew, seized the means of production in some way. They have gone fully independent. So we have on one of the co-owners with us today, and not to get off track, but man, so happy for you guys. So happy Giant Bomb is able to stick around and go on to bigger and hopefully better things in the future, but absolutely elated at the recent events.
I too am excited about what has happened, for sure. It is the feeling is mutual, for sure. It has been a wild couple of weeks, but we are still not out of the woods just yet, but nothing in terms of like weirdness, just a lot of paperwork, right? Yeah. And, the light at the end of the tunnel is growing brighter and brighter, and it's a very exciting time for sure. But thank you for saying that.
Excellent. And, of course, multiple times, especially at the end, we'll give opportunity to plug anything. But would you like to talk about your upcoming project before we get started on today's episode?
Yeah, for sure. Great. Thank you. I have created a webcomic based off a story that I wrote many, many years ago. The webcomic is called What Lies Below the Lilies. It is sort of a paranoia, nostalgia, sci-fi thriller that pays homage to the sort of late 90s around Y2K, and really kind of tries to throw a bit of that hysteria into a world that is definitely a slice of our reality, but certainly not completely. That is going to be out on the platform Storygrounds. By the time this airs, it will probably be about halfway through, but you can go to belowthelilies.com and sign up for that. By the time this airs, Storygrounds will be out as well. That's the platform the comic is on. And yeah, it's been a great experience. There's a lot of work still to be done on it, but thankfully I have a very talented team of artists and letterers and storyboarders and writers and producers who are helping me along the way to make me look very competent and cool. So yeah, it's very exciting. Thanks for letting me talk about it.
Absolutely. Everything I've seen looks very interesting and cool. In fact, I'm also looking at the website right now and am blown away by the how accurate it is to where I was in 1999 on the computer.
Yeah, that the website is definitely cut from the most Windows 95 GeoCities, cornucopia, acid flashback dream you could possibly think of. We got a lot of those details pretty right there. So I'm very proud of the work that has come out of that. It's fun. It's a really cool sort of time. I think it sounds like we're all in a broadly speaking in generally the same sort of era of growing up. And I think this kind of a website, these kind of animated GIFs speak to certain people in a certain way that I think is pretty special and kind of is a bit lost to time these days. So I'm glad we can kind of reawaken some of that stuff for sure.
Oh yeah, like evoking that specific era is exactly the way you get our Dreamcast loving asses to pay attention.
Yeah, it's pushing a very specific button, scratching a specific itch. So good to know it's working.
There is a MIDI baked into this website. That's great. That really takes me back.
Oh man,
I would not allow
those
this
midis
to go.
are real as hell too.
There's no way on earth this site was going live without at least 2 midis from late 90s music. So we're all good here.
Yeah, I'm transported right back to stalking vgmusic.com for new midis literally every day during a certain time of my life.
Yeah, like there was a point, right? And I even remember like downloading like Sonic sound effects at some point. Or like it felt like there was a point of our lives where the only reason you were on the internet was to download like sound effects and icons and like weird files that made what do I need this for? Why do I need this sound? I don't know, but it'd be nice to play it whenever I want. Yeah, that's what the internet was for a while.
I don't need a complete sprite sheet of Sonic from Sonic 3, but I'm not going to not download it.
What am I going to just leave it there?
Exactly.
I'm going to make my own OC out of this character, and I'm going to make a comic about it and post it online. Of course I am.
It's just what you do. Just seeing all of the teaser stuff for it has me very excited. I cannot wait to read it when it comes out.
No, I appreciate it. It's a lot of fun.
But along that sort of same line, I'm curious, what your overall history with Sonic as a franchise is. Obviously the turning point is, when I know you are a parent and your kid has been into Sonic. So that was obviously, a little more exposure than maybe before. But
right.
I'm curious what your overall, familiarity is.
I grew up in a Genesis household. So my first exposure to Sonic was probably the same as the vast majority of people from our generation who had that, and I call that like the not for resale generation, which is just which is just the generation that like thinks that label is part of that art, just like it was like, I'm like, when did Genesis come out? Like 91, that early?
Yeah, Sonic was 91, but I think the Genesis was 89.
Okay, so I guess when they started bundling it, right, it was 91.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm
Altered Beast before Sonic, I think.
Right.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That's right. So in 91, I am 9 years old, and that's the game that came with Genesis. I think that, that was like the system seller, and that was my first exposure. That was like how I got introduced to this guy. And I think I had like a very sort of lukewarm relationship with Sonic. Right. I never felt like I was meant to choose between him and Mario. I never thought it was like that. But I always, I was always sort of like, this is the game I want to play. This is the fast game. This is the game that, sort of the other systems can't do. There's something special about Genesis that it can play a game so fast. I also thought maybe a little too fast.
It's that blast processing that they advertise, a totally real thing.
Like maybe this is too fast and perhaps I can't see what's coming ahead of me, and that would be a nice thing to be able to do, but still very fast and very impressive. And yeah, that was always the thing. I think for me, like and I know this is obviously not just strictly the video game that we're going to be talking about today, but I was always like the Sonic and Knuckles, expansion cart thing. Like when that thing came out, that was the thing that spoke to me, where I was like, oh, they're doing some witchcraft here. They're having cartridges dock on top of each other, and that's something, that kind of alchemy is really special, and I want to be a part of that. And that was for me, that was probably the game I played the most.
Yeah. The lock-on cart was something special. I remember being fascinated with it back in the day. I know that a couple of us may or may not have tried, plugging in Aladdin or whatever.
100%.
Try and put Knuckles in there. But it wasn't until years later that I find out, the whole reason that game exists is because of McDonald's.
Yes, technically.
So I did not know that.
So the story is, as we understand it, that Sonic 3 was originally supposed to be out in February of 1994, and they realized, oh crap, we've still got a bunch of stuff to do. The game's not done yet. We're only going to be we need to delay this game. And the Sega corporate says, no, you can't do that. We have locked in a Happy Meal toy deal with McDonald's for February of 94. The date stays. So they decided, okay, we're going to split Sonic 3 in half. We're going to put out the first half in February, and then we're going to put out the second half in November and put it on this lock-on cartridge so you can get the full game by combining them together. So Ronald McDonald is literally the reason we have lock-on technology.
I mean, I've never heard a story track so perfect. Like, of course that's the reason. Of course that's the absolute reason. And you know what? Like, for early to mid 90s, having to pull off that kind of pivot, it's kind of impressive.
Oh, for sure.
They invented a whole game technology just to save that game. It's impressive.
Just to sell fries, right? Like, that's unbelievable. Amazing.
In their defense, those McDonald's toys were very cool.
Yes, 100%. All the video game pack-ins and partnerships were way better than they had any right to be.
We did a look back at all of the Sonic toys for different fast food promotions a couple of years ago, or a couple months ago, and I think we kind of all concluded the coolest one was for the GameCube era Sonics in 2003, where they put out a bunch of Tiger LCD handheld games with every Happy Meal.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I was a little older for that then, where I wasn't eating McDonald's as often as I was.
Yeah,
but.
I was in my teens, so I wasn't either. But it's okay, I might have to just
swing by.
Once. I'm the same guy who went to Burger King for a copy of Sneak King. It's
yes.
I admit I have no shame.
There are certain things that will bring us to the place. Yes, totally.
And then years later, somebody created an emulated version of all of those LCD handhelds and put them out as a fan game online.
Hell yeah.
And it's it's so cool.
Oh yeah. What's the name? It's something really clever. Is it something Origins?
It's Sonic McOrigins Plus.
There you go.
That's awesome.
We'll add that to the show notes again so people can go check that out.
No notes, right? Just first take,
beautiful
perfection.
Exactly. You are right that Sonic, we were all of us here also love Mario. We were big into those games as well. I would wager that even with our fandom, I think we're all in agreement that Mario is far more consistent in his quality than Sonic ever was.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I think that's fair.
Yeah. But at the same time, I think part of the reason that we all latched on to Sonic back then and are arguably still into it now is because I think that Sega was more willing to kind of expand the universe of Sonic in ways that Nintendo was not willing to do with Mario until recently. Back in the day, you had the Super Mario Brothers Super Show and the other two cartoons that followed it. But Sonic had literally two cartoons going on at the same time. It had a comic in the US and then an entirely separate comic in the UK. And, toys and merch and all this other stuff, books, novels. I feel like there was more of a willingness on Sega's part to build out Sonic as a universe than there was for Nintendo with Mario. And I think that's part of the reason why it was a lot more kids latched onto it, because there was more to latch on to.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know. I sometimes I just say things where I'm like, man, you should not be saying this. You work in video games. Don't be stupid. What are you doing? But I think pound for pound, right? I think part of the reason Sonic took on this life outside of just the games is because, I mean, let's be honest, like Sonic kind of has more personality.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, 100%.
I feel that's intentionally too, yeah. Like Mario's supposed to be the everyman little guy that anyone can get behind, but Sonic's an actual character.
Right. Like, look what they had to do to adapt the Mario movie.
Yeah.
Like, they basically had to just invent brand new everything. Like, they barely, right? There's not even like a charitable relationship between, Super Mario Brothers and that movie with, John Leguizamo and Bob House. Sonic, it just had more like personality. He's a better character overall. Right. And I think that's what lends him to wearing all of these different hats and expand. And obviously it's being realized in the most, lucrative and sort of worldwide way now with all the big, movies and whatnot. But like, yeah, he belonged outside of the game.
I think that the thing about Mario is that he's in that unfortunate kind of Mickey Mouse space where he has to be both a character and a corporate mascot. And, that's true of Sonic as well, but I feel like Sega is more willing to kind of stretch him out,
mix
in
it
that
up
way and give him a little more, a little more.
Literally, I saw like a Stretch Armstrong Sonic in the shop the other day. Like,
there you go. Right. Like you're totally right. Mario is very much a sacred cow, sacred plumber. And, Sonic is like kind of, fluid in a better way, for sure.
For better and worse.
Yes,
that's true.
Oh, yes, the win.
For better and worse. They're not all going to be winners,
Well, it's so funny. Nintendo famously hated that 93 Mario movie, whereas during our research, we found, 3 or 4 different movie pitches for a Sonic movie in the 90s that were basically like very comparable to the Mario movie. Like Sega was like, man, if we can get the right script, absolutely, we will put one of these out, put Sonic in there.
We were this close to having a mid-90s Sonic movie that was basically Last Action Hero with Sonic coming out of the game.
Oh my God.
Was this close.
God, that would have looked like a Roger Rabbit.
I mean, probably a bad Roger Rabbit. They were going to do CG, I think.
with
less like, magicians working on it, right?
Yeah.
Like where they,
Yeah.
I think some of the behind the scenes we found were talks about 2D animation, early 90s 3D animation, and something like a sub Jim Henson level Sonic puppet. And
God.
Who knows what the world would have been if that would have come out. I would have liked to have seen maybe some pre-production, but they never even got that far.
Yeah. The funniest part of that is that a sizable part of that script was that it was ostensibly promoting Sonic Extreme for the Sega Saturn, a game that never got released.
Wow.
Whoops. So I guess before we move on, the one thing I would like to know broadly, Jeff, is once Sonic made the jump from 2D to 3D to the Dreamcast and started talking, is that did you kind of fall off? Did you keep up with it for a while, or did Sonic just kind of slowly float to the background as far as being one of your main go-tos?
That's a good question. I think right around then, Dreamcast was 99, right?
Yeah, 99.99.
Right. So I think for me, I was just about ready to get into college. I was still very much playing video games, but Sonic in general kind of had fallen back in terms of priority. I remember getting it with the Dreamcast and was just like, this is just not speaking to me in the way I wanted it to. You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of
Sonic
where,
was actually speaking in that one, but
right. He finally opens up his mouth, and I'm like, not interested.
That's legit, a legitimate criticism that some people have. It's like, oh, Sonic's talking now. I hate this.
Well, so it was less him opening up his mouth, I think, and more the game. I don't know what I was looking for in 1999. Perhaps it was just a sort of like, evolution beyond the sort of 2D scrolling thing. And when it was this, very, I think a lot of people were putting the same, Mario 64 worked out pretty well. Maybe this is Sonic's 64, right? And I think that plane didn't really land for a lot of people. And I found it, I think Sonic Adventure never took off because I think the onboarding for me at the time was just not there. Like I said, it wasn't something about the presentation of that game. And I've gone back to it with a more sort of charitable examination. And I think, it was probably a matter of like the wrong timing. Not to mention 1999, I'm 17, and I don't know if there's a worse age a human being can be. Like,
oh man,
like you that's true,
right? Like I've never met a 17-year-old I like or want to talk to, and when I look back at I'll be even more. I think it's beyond that. I think it's like 16 to 20 or 22 even, where you are just like the worst you're gonna be as a person.
Absolutely.
You think you know everything. You think you're gonna live forever. You just have not done anything, right? And you have your priorities are so out of proportion. But yeah, so like me onboarding a brand new Sonic game that like deviated from what was the sort of legacy of that thing, kind of didn't have a chance.
Yeah, I think through our revisits of Sonic Adventure, both of them really, I've definitely come across that first adventure game. I still like it a lot. I love that Dreamcast version. I definitely see how people bounced off of it because it feels like it not only had to be Sonic's Mario 64, it also had to be the like show off for every aspect of the Dreamcast.
Right.
And so that's why you ended up with all of the different characters that play different. You had some shooting in there with Gamma, the robot, and you had, I guess, what would eventually be Sega bass fishing with Big the Cat. And as much as I look back on that game fondly now, I mean, I'd be lying if when I first got it, I wasn't like, why am I fishing like this in a Sonic game? Also, this is hard. I can't do this. I'm sad.
Also, this is mandatory, and I've got to do this to get unlock the final story and get Super Sonic.
Yeah.
But it is also interesting to talk to other friends of ours or even guests on the show who are a little bit younger than us or did not grow up with those games at all, and be surprised that there is a large majority of people who love those games who might not have even been born when they came out. So it's interesting, like the cyclical nature of especially Sonic games, that lots of young kids have latched on to the games that, came out when we were in, like you said, our worst years, and they managed to find really, really fun stuff with them.
Yeah.
And I think part of the reason for that is that like the Sonic fandom has gone like above and beyond many others in terms of how willing they are to make those games available and in their best possible forms, even when Sega will not. Like, we've recommended the PC version of Sonic Adventure multiple times over, but it's always with the caveat of here's a mod installer that will automatically install these 20 mods that you really need to get the most out of this game. And I think that that's both very cool in terms of, the fact that these improved versions exist, but also, maybe speaks to, Sega has not always been the best at, making its back catalog available, or even if they do, maybe not in the best form. So it does kind of fall to the masses to fill in those gaps sometimes, to make these older games available in a way that makes sense for a lot of those younger fans to discover.
Sure. And
Sega does what Nintendo don't, in that for the most part, they leave them alone and don't try and sue them. So
yeah,
for being corporate overlords in charge of a mascot, I do give Sega big points for that, is that they have not made enemies of their loyal fans in that aspect.
I wish my kid was able to like experience some of that stuff, and I don't know why. And I have found that this is a sort of common thread with people who are under, 15, who very much know Sonic, very much want to engage with Sonic and buy all his stuff and wear all of his merch and see all of his movies, but they don't want to play his games.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
My kid could not care less about the Sonic video games. Like,
wow. Okay.
you know,
Interesting indeed.
So Sonic, you know, the Sega one, the Genesis ones, he's just like, I'm sure that's very nice for you, Dad. I'm sure that's, you know, and me, you know, and he's not above, you know, the sort of like 16-bit side scrollers, right? Like he's been playing the Pipistrello yo-yo game, which is like very much that, right? So he's not, you know, it's obviously not like as platformy, but he's into the energy that sort of aesthetic gives off. And he very much loves Sonic. He loves the movies in a way that is, you know, they are formative for him, but he doesn't want to play the games, and he plays a lot of video games. And yeah, you know, I think the most I think he did like Sonic, maybe Generations or something like that. That was like the most he was like caring about it. I do think the new kart one he'll invest some time into. I think that's going to be a big onboarder for a lot of people. But yeah, the traditional ones, zero interest to go back to them. He's just like, I don't want to see that. I don't care. When's the next Jim Carrey movie coming out?
Yeah, I had a step nephew over here for I think it was Father's Day. We had a thing over at our house, and all us kids came into my room and were playing the new Mario Kart World. Everybody was taking a break, and so I just let him drive around in free roam. And I can't remember how Sonic got brought up, other than the fact that I'm the Sonic uncle. But I remember he was talking about he's seen the movies, knows Sonic, likes him okay, but has not played any of the newer games. And then I proceed to tell him, because I know he plays in Roblox, that there is a official Sonic Roblox game that he seemed very interested in. After he told me all of the parental locks that are on Roblox from his dad, and I said, that's very good. Don't talk to strangers on Roblox.
Yeah.
But yeah, he seemed very interested in checking out the official, is it Sonic Speed Simulator?
Yes, that's the one.
I was honest with him. I told him I'm too old to try that one, but you would like it, son, I promise.
Yeah, it's crazy that you know, that there is like a sizable portion of the population of that age group that is just like, oh, the games are for like our parents. Those are like the Sonic video games are our parents' stuff. We're the ones that are gonna like watch him, you know, watch Ben Schwartz do his thing. You know, and I find that fascinating.
I'm interested to see in this era of, I think we reached pure like superhero movie saturation.
Oh, sure.
But I wonder, and now there's like an entire generation who's only come up on movies. And I wonder if they're ever going to do like the thing that maybe some of us did, where we get hipster with it and go back and say, oh, I'm going to read some, you know, Spider-Man, Superman comics, or are comics just, see, I'm not sure. All these people who just know superheroes from the movies, are they going to be interested in going back and reading some of the history? Or I don't know. I think that's super interesting for the future generations.
Well, that must be really nice for you, Jeremy, with your comics, but that's not for me, they say, as they throw it out the window, I suppose.
Can someone needs to put them on TikTok, like 4 panels at a time.
I mean, they're kind of doing that already with the Sonic comics. I think they're like doing vertically scrolling versions of them on Webtoon.
Oh, you're not even wrong. Yeah.
I mean, that is the thing. Like, it's funny because that, you know, I had not been exposed to that kind of stuff. You know, I had always read, you know, either you know, page flipping, you know, left to right comic books growing up, and in my, you know, 20s and 30s, and it wasn't until I started working with my partner here, where I realized, like, oh my God, the rest of the, you know, Eastern world is consuming comics almost exclusively in this format.
Oh yeah.
And you know, and it kind of like opened my eyes wide open to realize that, like, oh, I'm like a grandpa reading, comics like a book, you know what I mean? But that's interesting. I don't, I've not seen, and again, it's anecdotal, but I've not really seen evidence that, I think like the all the MCU stuff, and I think it creates, I don't think it like waters it. Well, I guess you could make the argument it certainly waters down like origin stuff and kind of just gives you everything in this really digestible, sort of capsule. But I have not seen personally anyone from, my kid's generation who's like, Spider-Man, that was really cool. I need to now like catch up and read on the decades of lore and, variations and stuff that I've missed out on. Like, I don't know. Like, when I told my kid Batman was like 100 years old, and he was like, what do you mean? I'm like, no, he's the idea for Batman.
He's very spry for his age.
Yeah, he's like, I was like, the concept of Batman is nearly 100 years old. He's like, that's crazy. Yeah.
It is interesting to see how different generations have latched onto this stuff. Like, we followed Sonic basically since the beginning. And even during those points where there were like long droughts between games or the quality just was not quite up to snuff, the comics have arguably been like the most consistent piece of Sonic media in terms of just general presence, where, in the UK, they had a series that ran from 93 to 2001. And then in the US, they had a completely different series that ran from 93 until 2016.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like one of the longest running licensed books of all time. And then a whole lot of complicated legal mumbo jumbo happened that caused it to have to, get the axe. But then they started a new comic series with IDW in 2018, and that one has been going consistently for the last 7 years. So there's just been...
Oh no, sorry, you just reminded me. It's been 7 years. That's messed up.
They're creeping up on 100 issues.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it is. Comics have just been this constant presence in Sonic to the point where there are people who, like you said, don't really play the games, but swear by the comics or by specific eras of the comics. And are like, why don't they put more of this stuff into the cartoons or the games or the movies or everything? And
there's loads of people who also swear at the comics because they hate them, because even though they still read them regardless.
Such is the nature of comic book fandom. But
yes, of course.
But yeah, it is interesting that, in that same way, there are people who are fans of Sonic, but only very specific iterations of Sonic, because each of these comics is different from one another, which are also different from each of the different cartoons, which are different from the movies, which are even different from, different eras of the games. Like, some people like, the classic stuff on the Genesis. Some people like, the Dreamcast era games. Some people like the more modern stuff. And they're all so far removed from one another because they keep kind of trying to reinvent what Sonic is or throw spaghetti at the wall in different ways that, everybody has their own different idea of what Sonic is or should be. And so that does kind of create this Batman-esque situation of everybody has their own different Sonic, and not everybody is going to agree with those interpretations. So
yeah, I think you're right. I think like there is this sort of like malleable property to that IP that kind of just works with what you're willing to kind of put into it, and he is shapeable. I think what is really wild is that from the video game perspective, you're right. There's no like right way to do Sonic. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like there's just not the right way to do it. Like there's a right way to do Mario. I think we're all in agreement, but there really isn't like a right way to do Sonic. And that's kind of interesting and weird. So, yeah, that's fun.
I think it is a one. I do think it is a for better or worse. Like, I'm glad the Sonic universe gets the opportunity to do so many creative things. Like, right. You have have games that, will always be for children or adolescents. Your 6 to 13s, a little older, but some games that have like some pretty heavy themes, like the Sonic 3 movie is directly based on Sonic Adventure 2, where the crux of the plot for Shadow the Hedgehog is he sees his best friend die, and they just kind of did that in the movie. And I just can't see, like you said, I cannot see the Mario series ever going that heavy into the pathos of Sonic the Hedgehog. But no. I'm glad they have the option, because when it works, I think it's really cool, and people get to point to like like a formative event in their Sonic fandom. And when it doesn't, it's like, well, at least now we can have a good attitude and look back on, be like, well, that was kind of silly. Let's look at the silliness of the Sonic franchise without getting too bogged down.
Let's all watch the stage show from the Australian theme
Oh my
park.
Goodness. Yeah.
Man,
Something that really happened.
Yeah, since we're talking about different Sonic iterations and everything, I think this might be a good time to do the first of our trivia mini games.
Oh boy.
So like our other Sonic 101 episodes, we're going to be doing some fun little goofy trivia mini games to see how much Jeff has absorbed through cultural osmosis about Sonic, or just how good he is at guessing the answers.
Oh boy.
And the first one we're going to do is a mini game called A.B.C.D Station, which is going to be a pretty simple multiple choice quiz. So Chris will ask a series of questions, each with 4 possible answers. And Jeff, you just need to pick which one you think is right. Very simple.
Okay.
So Chris, do you have our questions?
I have them right up in front of me. So let's reach down into Sonic's wide and varied history and see what we can pull out. Okay, so question number 1 on the A.B.C.D station. There were 3 different Sonic the Hedgehog animated series released through the 1990s. Which child star voiced Sonic in all 3 shows? Is it A, Jonathan Taylor Thomas, B, Fred Savage, C, Jaleel White, or D, Kieran Culkin?
I know this. It's Jaleel White.
That's right. You got it right on the
Correct.
Mr. Urkel himself.
I don't know why I know that. I just do. That is the osmosis that you're talking about, because there is because I did not watch any of them. I just know that to be a truth.
Yeah, there were 3 different shows released between 93 and 99, and he was Sonic in all 3 of them, except the last one where he also played Sonic's brother Manic and sister Sonia. Don't ask.
Wow. Okay.
They made some choices.
I'm now more curious about this whole thing, so we might have to do a little bit of digging here.
It was called Sonic Underground. You can watch it on YouTube or Tubi. It's not good.
No, it really isn't. Enjoyable in a certain way.
Yeah.
There's a song every episode.
Oh no!
Yo, it's one of
they're all
those.
in a
That's
band.
right.
I think, if I remember correctly, specifically so the company, when they sold the show to syndication, could get royalties back on every song.
Wow.
Of course, those royalties did not go to the writers and artists that wrote the songs, but
of course not.
The corporate
Absolutely
entity.
not.
I do have to say, as bad as Sonic Underground is, I do have to shout out Jaleel White. He really comes up with a great character for Sonic in all of those cartoons, and like I really like his performance. I never watched much Family Matters as a kid, but I remember being the kind of kid who would record and then pause the credits so I could like read the names, and kind of discovered it on my own and didn't really know what to do with it, because I'm like, okay, he's a nerd on this show, though. How can he also be Sonic? And it turns out that's what acting is.
Turns
Funny how
out.
that works.
All right, moving on to the second question. Right. What is the name of the floating island where Knuckles lives? Is it A, Angel Island, B, Echidnopolis, C, Sky Sanctuary, or D, Morristown?
I have no idea. Through process of elimination, I'm going to say Sky Sanctuary.
Ooh, you were close, but that's just a place on it. It's actually A, Angel Island.
Okay, I'll take it.
Sky Sanctuary is a level that was in Sonic Generations, so people might remember it.
That was the second to last level in Sonic and Knuckles.
Yes.
And to be fair, it being called Angel Island is something that we only knew as of Sonic Adventure, and we know that you checked out from that point, so of course it makes sense.
It's and it's just such a angel. It doesn't even. Does that relate to anything in Sonic? Like
flies.
I guess.
Yeah,
that's it.
Flies, that's
There's a lot
it.
of things that fly, right? Like, okay, all right. I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at the lore. That's all I'm mad at.
Whereas Morristown is a different flying island from Sonic Boom, named after the city in New Jersey. And at the end of the episode in which it appeared, they renamed it to Roboken because, again, New Jersey.
Wait, really? That's crazy. I didn't know
Yes.
that. That's nuts because I live
Sonic
close
Boom.
to Morristown. That's so funny. I thought maybe like someone like we're like where's the place in Jersey that Jeff might know?
No, we have the lore on our side for this one.
It's baked into the product. Oh my god.
Yep.
All right, on to question 3. Which one of these games is a Sonic the Hedgehog game? A. Sonic Surge, B. Sonic Hunter, C. Sonic Wings, or D. Sonic Eraser?
Sonic Hunter, Sonic. What were the 4?
Sonic Surge, Sonic Hunter, Sonic Wings, and Sonic Eraser.
Oh god.
These are all real games that we just got like off Steam and stuff, but only one of them is a Sonic game.
Yeah.
Sonic Surge feels right, but I also think that's like front-loaded misdirection. I'm gonna. You said the last one was Eraser?
Yes.
Yes.
I've not heard of that ever, but I'm going to guess it because it's just the most. It's the one that's not obvious, so I'm gonna go from strictly a this is how I'm going to play this game point of view. I'm gonna say Sonic Eraser is the game.
You're correct. It's Sonic Eraser. Good
Hell
job.
yeah! What is it? What the hell is it?
It was a Genesis game that you could only get through a Japanese exclusive download service similar to Sega Channel, and it's a puzzle game with an incredibly ear-grating soundtrack, and it's never been released in America.
I was gonna say because that was like the only 2 words that I've never even heard back to back,
Yeah,
and I'm like, okay, this has to be it, right? Wow, that's wild.
it's a very strange one.
Wow.
Hey, isn't it slightly like Columns, one of Sega's
Yeah,
others?
a little bit.
Okay.
Yes, but Sonic is there, so
Just-
it counts.
Just playing with like dance music and shapes or something, huh? All right.
Yeah.
Speaking of puzzle games, the next question is, the game Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine is a reskin of which pre-existing puzzle game? Is it A. Tetris, B. Columns, C. Puyo Puyo, or D. Sokoban?
I don't remember what this game looked like.
I would show you the box art, but it would give away the answer.
Can I? Do I have a hint of when the game came out or no?
1993 on the Genesis.
My first inclination was Puyo Puyo, but that doesn't. Does that track with the timeline?
You said you were going to go with your gut.
I'm gonna go with Puyo Puyo because that was the first game that came to mind. I don't know if it's old enough to have been a reskin, but let's go with that.
You are correct. Puyo Puyo is it. It's based on the first
Yeah.
Puyo Puyo game.
When was that first Puyo Puyo game?
That was 93, and when they were bringing it out to the West, they're like, oh, this little anime girl and all her friends aren't
Right.
necessarily going to sell in the U.S. So let's change it into a Sonic the Hedgehog game for the Genesis, and then for the Super NES port, let's turn it into a Kirby game, and that became Kirby's Avalanche.
No way.
Yeah,
This game got so many reskins. There was that whole
Seriously?
one by the... What was that one that the Tetris guy did? I can't remember its name, but there was a
Oh,
number of
yes.
these.
That's
Isn't
wild.
Carbuncle still in Mean Bean Machine? The
Yes.
little
He is, yes. But under the name Has Been. They keep Carbuncle, the little mascot character, in there, but no, he's now Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog character. Because it's worth knowing it's not just a Sonic reskin, but a reskin of one of those cartoons we talked about, the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. So it has that version of Robotnik, and yeah, it was a choice. That was how I first played Puyo Puyo, though, so I can't really complain.
Likewise.
Oh, that's funny. That's Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. What a
Oh yes.
what a title. We're not giving that its flowers enough. That is, put that on a t-shirt.
It's an attention grabber, I tell you.
what is the coffee shop called in the Sonic movies?
It is the Mean Bean.
Oh,
So yes,
cool.
there's a nod to that.
Nice.
Stone, his henchman. Yes, I love that.
But that was an introduction to Puyo Puyo for a lot of people through the lens of Sonic the Hedgehog. Now the next question. Okay. Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood is the only official Sonic RPG ever made. Which company developed it? Is it A, Atlas, B, BioWare, C, Enix, or D, Obsidian?
Oh my god.
And for perspective, this was late 2000s on the
Yes.
DS.
On the DS.
Yes.
Yeah, this would have been around 2009, I believe.
You said Atlas. You say Square Enix?
It was Atlas, BioWare, Enix, or Obsidian.
All right, the Enix doesn't make sense. I feel like Atlas makes the most sense out of the gate.
I was going to say Sega does currently own Atlas.
Right, that's what I'm thinking. There must have been DNA brewing there. There must have been something going on there, right? Is this a trick? Am I being tricked?
Maybe.
How could it be BioWare? I have
How could it indeed?
I have an easier time believing it's BioWare over Enix, though. And what was the fourth?
Obsidian.
Obsidian.
There's no way it's Obsidian.
They were too busy.
BioWare just seems insane. Atlas seems like the thing. I'm going to go with Atlas.
You are incorrect. It was actually BioWare this whole time.
What?
Yeah, it's not like the main
BioWare?
studio, I'm pretty sure. It's like one of their sub studios.
They were in the middle of working on this game when they got bought by EA.
Oh. Okay. Because that relationship is like, it's very tough to decouple that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they were still under contract to finish the game, so they finish it up. But it will never get it ended on a cliffhanger, and it will never get a sequel because of EA buying them. So
Right.
it's basically been written out of canon because they're never going to follow up that clip.
Right. I feel good about the Atlas guess there, but I
Yeah,
guess
it was a good guess.
I guess, that connection was sort of still yet to be solidified. But yeah, I mean, Enix makes, that's nuts. That's a good question. That's a really good, do you know your stuff? Really separate the children from the adults there. I like that.
That was pre-Atlas being owned by Sega, wasn't it?
Right.
Yeah, Atlas got bought in 2013, I believe.
Yeah, that makes sense. Wow. Cool. Good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, that game will never see the light of day, partly due to the fact that also it caused a whole legal brouhaha regarding comic creators. But that's a story for another day. There are many of those in Sonic. Next question. In Sonic Unleashed, Sonic goes on a globe-trotting journey to various locations based on real-world analogs. Okay, so which of these countries is not the inspiration for one of these locations? Is it A, Greece, B, Mali, C, Thailand, or D, Brazil?
And if it helps, Sonic Unleashed is the one where Sonic turns into a werewolf, or a werehog, as the game calls him.
Yes.
Huh. So I played all of 0% of Sonic Unleashed. I know the game.
Yeah, for perspective, all of the locations in that game are based on real world analog. So like there is a version of New York in that game called Empire City.
Right. I figured that. Okay. Oh, I see. Neat. Oh, right. The Zeppelins floating through New York City
Very normal.
at any given moment. All right. Refresh my memory, please. What were the cities here?
Greece, Mali, Thailand, or Brazil?
Which one was not featured in Sonic Unleashed?
Or at least has an analog base thereof.
Yeah.
I'm gonna Thailand, I believe. Greece for me. I just feel like Sonic has too much history with the Olympics, and he's just like he's definitely going to Greece. I'm gonna say Brazil.
You are 100% correct. That is a good guess, actually.
Because it was either going to be that or Thailand, but Brazil seems like I don't know why they wouldn't visit that biome or inspirational city, but I just didn't see it in my mind's eye, in the theater of my mind.
It's surprising. Like, Master System is huge down there. You would think that it'd be
true. To this day.
I know that is like a weird factoid, right? Yeah.
But yeah, no, Thailand was one of the locations.
Look at that. Awesome.
Oh, yeah. I know. I think, isn't the first continent Potos, which is Greece?
Yes.
You meet the expert on all things Sonic lore. Gregorios. Oh my gosh, I remember his name.
Yeah, this was probably the low point for my Sonic exposure when this game came out. This is
Unleashed is another one that has had such a resurgence with people 10 years younger than me, whereas I remember having fun with it and it being very pretty and liking the running around as Sonic the Hedgehog, but then I turned into a werehog and had to play the other half of the game. But
yeah.
Oh, man.
Unleashed has been going through a resurgence lately because it was one of those games that got like a full recompilation to run natively on PC. So,
cool.
Again, going back to what we were talking about before of Sonic fans just being unhinged and doing it themselves.
Yeah,
that is a cool lifeline that a lot of software gets.
Yeah, I was playing the Mario Kart 64 decompilation PC port the other day, and it runs buttery smooth. It's so good.
That's awesome.
Question number 7 now. There's numbers on these now. Which of these bands performed one of the credits themes for 2005's Shadow the Hedgehog? That's the game, not the character. Is it A, Power Man 5000, B, GWAR, C, Taking Back Sunday, or D, Pantera?
What? It's one of those bands?
It is one of those four. There were like 4 or 5 different credits themes for that game, and one of those bands did one of them.
And as another refresher, Shadow the Hedgehog's game is the one where they gave him a gun.
Cool. Oh God, I want it to be GWAR, but I feel like that just seems too impossible, even with the amount of charisma and emotion that Sonic has. I feel like Pantera, like, come on, how's that real?
I don't know. Pantera did do a song for SpongeBob SquarePants. So.
They did?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. That changes the whole thing here.
I think it's the episode where his friend Sandy is trying to do as many extreme sports before she has to go into hibernation, and every time they go do an activity, the Pantera song plays in the background.
That's pretty cool. Oh, man.
And don't forget, GWAR were the main catalyst behind the plot of the Beavis and Butthead video game when they were trying to claim their tickets, so maybe.
Right.
Oh, my goodness.
Right. And
GWAR also did an original song for an episode of Codename Kids Next Door, but they didn't want anybody to know about it, so they were credited as ROG, just spelled backwards.
Ah.
Like
Korn in OKKO.
Yes.
All right, so we've all established that it could very justifiably be any of these bands.
That's the trick.
Good day.
But are we all just bullshitting you?
Right. No, I mean, for like whatever reason, when you hear it, you're like, you know what? I guess that sounds like it's plausible. All right, I'm gonna say the first one that jumped out at me was Power Man 5000, just because I think there's some frenetic energy that like that music could supply Shadow in a way that I just don't see it with the other bands. That's my answer, Power Man 5000.
You are correct again.
Really?
Power Man 5000
Yes.
with the band ending theme, Almost Dead.
Wow. Part of me was like, oh, you're going to be so upset you didn't say GWAR. That's great. All right. I'm doing way better than I thought I would be. I thought I was going to go for whatever, and I've gotten a handful. I'm already feeling good. So thank you for...
like half of the vocal themes in Sonic games are done by like Crush 40, their sort of house band, while the other half are just the music director, the composer, whoever just picks who bands that they like and like, hey, you want to do a song for a Sonic game? And that's how we got, bands like Danger Kids and Sleeping with Sirens and Hoobastank and Bowling for Soup all contributing to Sonic soundtracks over the years.
That's very cool. I like that.
I know. Special shout out to our, I guess we can say friend of the show now, Wendy Online, who has been translating the Japanese only liner notes from the soundtracks where a lot of those stories come from, where like Jun
cool.
Senue, longtime Sonic music producer, will just say, paraphrasing, like, oh yeah, I listened to this band and liked them, so I called them up and said, would you like to do a song for Sonic the Hedgehog? And that's where it comes from sometimes.
I mean, and who's going to be like, no thanks, right? Like,
yeah.
That's awesome.
Sonic Frontiers, the one that came out a couple of years ago, has that like 5 or 6 like original like power metal songs, and it's crazy how the I mean, not to go on a tangent, but I mean, the music identity of the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise has always been a selling point for me personally and a lot of people, because they just go all in, just about no matter what the game is.
Very cool.
Now, question number 8. In the seminal novel Sonic in the Fourth Dimension, Sonic and Tails go on a time-traveling adventure to fix the past. Which of these things do they not do in the book? To clarify, which of these do they not do?
Which just assumes that I know all the things, and then have to be like
this is obscure for Sonic fans.
Yeah,
you know?
okay,
So,
fair enough, fair play.
This is just an excuse to talk about an obscure thing that we love.
Yes. So, which of these things do they not do in the book? A. Hatch from a dinosaur egg. B. Compete in a Roman Colosseum. C. Outrun the blast of the Big Bang. Or D. Directly undo the events of Sonic 1.
Oh my god. All of these answers, I hope, are correct. Like, I just want to...
3 of them are! One of them
that's
is fake.
amazing. Oh, man, you said that they outrun the blast of the Big Bang. Like, that is amazing. How were they put in a situation... What were they running on? Like,
I mean, I can't tell you. It could be the fake answer.
Yeah,
I want that to be real, so I'm not going to guess that, because I'm then going to go try and find a clip of that, because that is the funniest sentence I've ever heard.
The book is long out of print. You can find it on archive.org. Somebody has scanned it in full. It is a very good read.
It's just like, oh, Tails, we got outrun the creation of the universe. How's that?
We have meddled in God's domain.
So because I want that to be true, I will guess hatching out of a dinosaur egg.
That's your guess?
Yes.
You are sadly incorrect. The answer is B, compete in a Roman Colosseum. That happened in a different Sonic novel from the same series.
I was going to say, that just seems too normal. That just seems like real normal.
Because in that book we found out that Romans exist on Sonic's world for some reason, and they had to fight in a Roman Colosseum.
It's very strange.
Under the Whims of Caesar. Yeah, and that was an odd book. Which one was that again? Was that
That was Robotnik's Laboratory.
Okay, Sonic in Robotnik's Laboratory. Okay, no, the in Sonic in the Fourth Dimension, though, they do in fact hatch from a dinosaur egg, they do outrun the blast of the Big Bang, and they directly undo the events of Sonic the Hedgehog 1.
That's amazing.
A lot happens in that book. Very fun read, actually, for kids. At the day.
Lots of time travel and dimension hopping before that was like well known in the zeitgeist of pop culture.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, they run to and then run away from the creation of the universe, the Big Bang, on a specially modified treadmill with Sonic and Tails running side by side.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like the Flash.
Got it. Wow. Okay. I was just about to like find a way for my child to read this, and then I heard, no, I'm kidding. I'm gonna, because he does ask me a lot. He's like, Dad, how fast do you think Sonic really is? And I don't really have an answer for him because he seems to go, I mean, he definitely goes fast, but he seems like he's able to like really obtain speed beyond comprehension, and then it's like, oh, now he just looks like he's going 300 miles an hour. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure you guys have discussed this in great detail.
It usually caps out around the speed of sound, but then they will, maybe stretch that a bit for the sake of the plot or whatever.
Right.
And then you throw the Chaos Emeralds, the magic MacGuffins in there, and he gets to be as fast as he needs to.
Sure.
I have not caught up on the comics being released as of recording, the official DC Sonic the Hedgehog crossover. I know Sonic is hanging out with the Flash. I'm sure there has to be some tete-a-tete between them where they argue about who's technically the fastest.
Sure. You would hope so. Cool.
Meanwhile, in the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon, they transported back to the beginning of time to the Big Bang, and the Big Bang is a giant stick of dynamite, but that's not as cool as what we discussed in this book.
All right. Okay. Fair enough.
Those books are very fun. I would say, as someone who read books like that as a kid, I think they hold up pretty well as far as showing them to a younger Sonic fan.
Okay, good to know.
Next question, number 9. Archie Sonic Super Special number 8, one of the comics, introduced Sonic the Zone Cop, an alternate reality version of Sonic who polices unauthorized interdimensional travel. Which of these Spider-Man writers created the character? Is it A, Dan Slott, B, J. Michael Straczynski, C, Brian Michael Bendis, or D, Tom DeFalco?
There was a very brief stretch where one of these Spider-Man writers was working on the Archie comics and created this character.
I have no idea. I'm going to guess DeFalco.
Incorrect, it's Dan Slott. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
But yes. Interesting people have worked on Sonic the Hedgehog comics. Mark Millar worked on the Sonic the Hedgehog comic in the UK for a brief period of time, long before he became known for doing all the things he did, so... interesting
wild.
Who's been involved in these comics.
Yeah, that's super wild.
Yeah, he wrote in the UK comic, Mark Millar wrote for Sonic and Streets of Rage, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Huh.
I know, I always forget the Dan Slott thing too. Sonic's whole thing was he existed in a universe in between all of the other Sonic multiverse things. Again, before that was like happening in Marvel movies, it was also in the Sonic comics where there is like, oh, it's the Sonic universe, but Sonic is evil and Robotnik is good, and Sonic made sure nobody crossed over, and also his dimension was sideways. So like our prime Sonic would show up and be like, hey dude, what's up? And he's standing on like the wall. Come on. They did some
Comic
interesting
books.
things with it. Yes. Very, very silly looking back. But yes, created by a much more famous for Spider-Man author Dan Slott.
Okay, final question of the A.B.C.D. sedation. We got through it in the end. Which of these is a real thing that happened during one of the side character solo adventures in the UK Sonic the Comic series? All right. A. Knuckles passes through an old western town and is framed for rustling, nearly being lynched by an angry mob. B, Amy and her partner Techno are attacked by an escaped gang of criminal puppets, but defeat them by feeding them to termites. C, Tails is visited by a unicorn wizard who tries to convince him to assassinate Robotnik during a parade with a sniper rifle. Or D, all of the above.
Oh my God, all of the above.
Right on the money. All of those things happened in the comic I read growing up as a child.
I mean, that's the thing, right? Oh my God, the puppet thing is so unhinged. Fed them to termites. What is happening? I love it.
My favorite part of the unicorn wizard who hands Tails' famous small child a sniper rifle is that they literally frame it like some of the famous images of the JFK assassination.
He's in the book depository, right?
Oh my
I think I
God.
remember that.
There's like a grassy knoll and the whole, that is, oh my
There it
there it is.
Oh my God. Just pull, okay. Really?
I don't know about this, says Tails.
I don't know. Something wrong about assassination. Jeez.
Just pull the trigger, Tails.
Amazing.
Oh my goodness.
This formed me as a child. So,
Yeah.
For the record, it was a morality test, and the correct answer was don't do it. But
Wow.
still, it's very funny out of context.
Tails really going through it in this frame here.
Well, at the end of that round, I think you fared pretty well. Did you add all of those up for me, Luke?
I did. You got 6 out of 10 right. Great job.
Wow.
All right.
Passing grade.
That works for me. I'm impressed.
Sonic has permeated into your membranes.
In one way or another, or
Yes.
through maybe skillful question answering by trial and error or deduction. But yeah, I'll take it. That was great. Thank you.
Hell yeah. All right. So jumping back to our earlier discussion, I know you said that your kid is not super into the video games. I'm curious how he came to Sonic. Was that something that you introduced him to, or did he find it on his own, or kind of where was the genesis point, no pun intended?
Yeah. That's a good question. I want to say that he first started, I think his first exposure was through one of the shows on Netflix. I think he had seen something that caught his eye, maybe with like Sonic Boom or yeah, probably Sonic
This is
Boom.
me remembering discussions on the Beastcast back in the day. I want to say you talked about Sonic Boom and Sonic X
Yes.
on Netflix,
Yes.
the anime.
That's correct. Yeah. He had gotten to the point where he was just like, this is my guy. I need to understand or consume all of his stuff. I think when he was, the thing that's good about Sonic is like, there's just the right amount of just, it's inoffensive enough, especially what it was available from a streaming capacity. It was like just enough to kind of speak to him, and he was enamored with it. I think he just really, especially with Boom, I had also heard that like, oh, these are sort of regarded as actually pretty good, and the more he got into those, I think the right cadence of Sonic delivery lined up perfectly with, when that first movie came out. And then it was sort of, oh, this is somehow this like, finale, this sort of validation of him putting in the work without even realizing that a full feature length film was on the horizon. That really, made it sort of seem even bigger for him personally and the path that he was on. So that was definitely his first exposure was the streaming shows.
Yeah, it always amazes me how much play Sonic X still gets to this day, because that show has not aired new episodes in almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And it still consistently does well on streaming, from my understanding.
Yeah, I would, definitely watch some of it with him, and I was, easily like absorbed into it. Like I was like, oh, this is pretty great. This is like pretty entertaining. So it makes sense. I think there's certain content that like is able to withstand that test of time. And interestingly enough, it is in the form of Sonic, where it's like,
yep.
There's more out there. It's not just this one show. And I think that was like, that opened up his eyes. Because now, I think there was something relatively new, or maybe relatively new to one of the streaming platforms, where it was maybe just released on there.
Yes, there was Sonic Prime that came out on Netflix, I think 3 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, that was during like our first year of the podcast.
Yeah.
I remember.
So
it was okay.
Yeah, I think like his, his exposure to that stuff, it's not always going to be like, oh, this just came out, I need to, see it. I think for kids his age, they don't know when stuff is like coming out. They just know that, it's on the thing now, and it's new to the thing. Therefore, it's new to me. I have no other way of consuming it. And, it's that kind of relationship that he has, where he's like, oh, there's a new Sonic Prime now, I'm going to just blast through this thing.
Which is not that dissimilar to how it was for us when we were kids, where, we obviously wouldn't know when a new show was getting added to a network or whatever. Or like if you go on Cartoon Network, you might see an old, 60s Hanna-Barbera cartoon or something, but like you don't have that frame of reference. As far as you know, it's a new thing. Yes, of course. This Godzilla cartoon totally just came out just now. This is it is interesting to, see how kids find this stuff even to this day, and kind of this discovery period of, hey, I've never seen this thing before. I'm going to latch onto it, and I guess this is my whole personality now.
Yeah. Sonic X has stood the test of time, to where it is another one of those things that people our age, people younger than us, and I believe it stayed so popular that it not only received a complete release on on Blu-ray of the English version, but just a couple of years ago, they put out the original Japanese version with subtitles out for the Western market, and I think that's crazy for like a kids anime that didn't even do that well in Japan, but the fandom was there. I think that sold relatively well, so it's out there.
It cannot be emphasized enough how big that show was. Like, that was only supposed to run a standard 52 episodes, but it got so big in America, they're like, okay, no, we're actually going to commission 26 more episodes specifically for the West. Like, that's how big that show was. They actually like got new episodes just for America and Europe because it was so big there. Yeah, it is really interesting, like how much mindshare Sonic has kind of occupied in just like pop culture in general. Like, I feel like it's reached the point where I feel like even if you haven't played the games, or even played the games recently, you're still exposed to Sonic stuff on a constant basis in a way that you just aren't for a lot of other franchises. And I think that speaks to, the cross-generational appeal.
Yeah.
Even though they were never super into playing the games with me, even growing up, like my mom likes those new Sonic movies. Like, people do those, I showed my grandma all the Smash Brothers characters and she couldn't name any of them. If you showed my mom a big picture of Sonic characters, I would bet my bottom dollar she could name at least half of them. Not just because, me being her son, but just the cultural osmosis of like, yeah, Sonic has been around since the 90s. It's kind of cool. I think that's part of why those movies have done fairly well, even though they are they managed to thread the needle between like being in the four quadrants for everybody, but I mean, people know who Sonic the Hedgehog is. They like to see that little blue guy.
Yeah, they do a great job with those movies. I mean, I think no one's more skeptical of, going into that movie than like someone like me who's just like, okay, you know,
Oh yeah,
like,
especially after that first trailer.
oh, exactly. Like there was, you know, it was just sort of, you kind of almost made, it was like a foregone conclusion, right? Like you were just sort of like, wow, they're really going to still do this, huh? Kind of thing. And then on the other side of it, you're just like, oh wow, there's some heart there. There, if this is genuinely like a very watchable and dare I say, pretty good movie that spans the generations and appeals to everyone in its own great way. And they are good. They are good movies. They are like very accessible and funny. And you know, I think at this point in Jim Carrey's career that you're still getting him to do that thing really well. Like that is an achievement for sure.
They got him to do 2 sequels.
Yeah.
He never does that anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
And not even 2 sequels. He got to play 2 different characters in one of them. Like double act in the third movie was
the third movie was definitely his hardest, like, you know, job. You know, like the most challenging work, right? And it's I mean, it's fascinating, but it's well deserved. Like, sure, you know, there's a lot of that you're just sort of rolling your eyes at and whatever, but like,
oh, absolutely.
You know, there's just enough heart there and everyone believes in it, right? Like I think that's like the thing that separates it from some of that other sort of slop that's like more fringe around the edges where you're just like, oh, okay, I get it. You're doing all the callbacks, you're doing all the things, and you know, you're gonna scratch that nostalgia, but there is genuine heart that comes out of those 3 movies that, you know, really resonate.
Oh yeah, kids love them too. I remember when I went to our local fancy 4K theater to see the latest one, and there was, I don't know if it was a birthday party. I know there was one. I'm going to assume one mom there who had set up all the kids on the rows in front of her so she could sit by herself. You know, made sure they all got their food and snacks. But half of those kids were like head to toe wearing like new movie Sonic and Shadow hoodies and, you know, like accessories. And I was like, man, that's crazy cool. Kids love these movies and still love the concept of Sonic. It's there's something to it. I cannot believe that I'm actually, you know, enjoy the fact in those movies that James Marsden is Sonic the Hedgehog's surrogate dad, and it's actually kind of sweet.
Yes, totally.
The movies are also a great instance of like this kind of weird phenomenon you don't often see, where it has kind of become like the older generation of Sonic fans are now the curators for a lot of Sonic media these days.
Right.
Like the director of those movies got his start as an animator on the 2005 Shadow game. The redesign was done by Tyson Hess, who got his start as a Sonic fan artist that went on to do a bunch of the comics and then animated the opening to Sonic Mania, which was the game that was almost entirely produced by people who got their start doing, you know, Sonic fan games.
Right.
Before. All the current writers and artists in the comic are people who were like known in fandom circles early on. And the guy who's currently writing the plots for all the games is the same, you know, big fan writer guy who worked on the comics for 20 years and then jumped over to writing the games. So it's like, it's this really fascinating phenomenon of like kind of the inmates running the asylum now, where that earlier generation has kind of taken over, creating the affection that they always wanted to see when they were kids growing up with Sonic.
Sure. Yeah. And that's it. I mean, and that's the testament to it, right? Like that is how you get the thing to, you know, satisfy like, the people who have an emotional attachment to it, right? It's when those people are involved in it, and it shows. It absolutely shows.
Like, I am a little curious. Like, you've said that your kid's been big into Sonic for, you know, several years now. Do you get the sense that, you know, you say he's, you know, still big into the movies or anything. Do you get the sense that he seems like he's starting to age out of it, or, you know, interests are shifting elsewhere? Or do you think that this is something that, you know, might have a longer tail than you expect?
It's a good question, because I think, you know, I have seen him kind of fall out of other, you know, franchises just by virtue of like, oh, is this too kiddie, quote unquote? And I don't think Sonic is that, because I do think there's a level of like action and kind of, especially these movies, if we're talking just about those, that, transcend, or have, more of a possibility of him outgrowing them. I don't think so. I think, who knows how many more they're gonna. I feel like if they had their way, they'll make 7 more of these. They just keep making more and more money. I think, I think that's a good question, because it's not just about Sonic 2, right? It's also about, the things that I would imagine people assumed people from our generation would like eventually outgrow, right? Like, I still like Ghostbusters. I still like Ninja Turtles. I like a certain flavor of Ninja Turtles, I think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
I did like that new movie. I thought that was good.
Yeah, that was excellent. Totally. And I still very much like Batman and Spider-Man. But I don't know. I think for at that age where he's at now, he's 10. I do think symbolically the sort of change that he's going through now is that he's putting away his like his sort of stuffed animals, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? And I think there's certainly a level of innocence that he still possesses, thankfully, because I don't know if I'm emotionally prepared for him to just like lose all of that innocence. But I do think there's a certain level of like first gradery that he is moving beyond. I don't think he has really put anything in this caliber, away and kind of like matured onto. So I would be surprised if like Sonic 4, the trailer drops and he's just like, no thanks. I just don't see that happening right now. This guy, he's pretty all in, and I know, he's got Sonic posters in his room. He's got Sonic posters and stuff hanging in his secret room that he turned a walk-in closet into. So he is very much
yes, I am very familiar with the Sonic Closet Shrine.
There you go. So yeah, he's in it. I don't see that changing anytime soon.
Yeah. I mean, he'll be 12 by the time that 4th movie comes out, so he'll probably still be in that range.
Definitely.
Sonic is one of those franchises I think at this point does stick out like your Ghostbusters, your Transformers, your Turtles, to where and we've talked about this on the podcast where we remember, I can only speak for myself, I remember when I was in, God, I kind of love that, the worst ages of my life, your 16s through 20s. I definitely, because of the just how the internet was evolving, I remember getting really like, I have to give up all this stuff because it's not cool anymore, when in reality I was just becoming irony poisoned, like it just became not cool to care. And I think the fact that Sonic, you can always say even now that like, well, the coolest Sonic was the one I was growing up with, is where even if people fall out of love with Sonic, I think can still come back to the one they like. Or thankfully, again, like I did, realized, oh no, I feel like a better person when I take things seriously and genuinely and don't think like any show of emotion is silly and lame. So no, I like this cringy part of Sonic again. I'm glad the franchise reinvents itself, because Sonic is always supposed to be cool, and cool changes all the time. So I feel like the character has had to change and adapt to where now he is a very like admirable person, right? Sonic the Hedgehog is. Yeah. It's easier to say like, oh yeah, that's Sonic, he's everybody's friend, etc. But he always beats the bad guys, and I think that's the big constant that people always look back on, even if they quote unquote grow out of Sonic at some point.
Yeah. And I think it also helps that because it's constantly reinventing itself, there are, always going to be little new pieces of Sonic media that maybe play to a different audience and might actually be what you're looking for in that instance. Like, I was going to recommend it later, but I think that the three of us will all agree that like probably our number one recommendation for a Sonic related thing for your kid to check out, the Scrapnik Island comic book. Oh, It's so good.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Very,
it's
very cool.
Just elevator pitch is it's a sort of self-contained story. Sonic and Tails crash on an island that is populated by a bunch of broken down Robotnik robots that have been reassembled Sid from Toy Story style. And it's like a kid-friendly horror book of them trying to hold out on this island against all of these robots. Sort of kid-friendly psychological horror.
Okay.
In that it's,
That's a sentence.
a lot. Yeah. I'm very aware. But it's like, it's got a really good, interesting narrative about, trying to, some of these robots maybe don't want to follow their original programming, want to make a life for themselves, but others are still beholden to this, kill Sonic programming that is hardwired in there. So it gets actually into the morality and the introspective nature a little bit. And I think it's a really interesting read for somebody who's into that.
This looks awesome. Yeah, I will pick it up for him for sure.
One section I'll spoil is that Tails literally builds the motion tracker from Aliens as they are exploring the ruins of the Death Egg from Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
I love that. That is phenomenal.
It's so good.
Hell yeah. Oh, this looks great. This looks really good, and it's got a really good look to it.
Yeah. The art's
absolutely.
fantastic.
Hell yeah. All right. Let's see. I will report back. I will reach out and let you know how he took to Scrapnik Island.
Awesome.
Hell yeah.
Love it.
Doesn't have to play it. It's not a game, so
No,
it's
I know.
probably still valid.
I mean, I could just picture it now. Oh, hey, I got a new Sonic thing for you. It's not a game, is it? No. Don't worry. Don't worry.
No, the times we live in.
Right? Don't worry. You do not have to play this. I promise. I'm your father. I wouldn't do that to you.
I mean, like you said, that kart racing game's coming out.
Yes.
That'll be great. He'll be able to play as Sonic and you'll be able to play as the Turtles. It all works out.
What's funny is that is the total, for whatever reason, as soon as you kart racify a franchise, you absolve it from all the other anchors it had. Yeah. You're like, well, this is different. This is the kart racing version of it. Oh, okay, it's back on the menu. I can ingest this safely. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I am 100% in the Vinny Caravella school of All Stars Racing Transformed is one of the best kart racers of all time.
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's pretty close to it. We've got one more trivia minigame, but I'm curious if you have any other maybe weird Sonic questions that you've always wondered about that you'd be curious for an answer on.
I think, because I did do I went to my kid and I was sort of giving him a briefing on, the show that I was coming on, and he was excited. He's like, because they're not talking about video games, right? I'm like, no. It's more it's more the lore. And I said, and, I think for him, he is very much again, his most obsessive sort of component, right? The lore that occupies the most space in his mind is the movies, right? And you'd ask me about the Mother Owl people. I'm like, I don't know who any of these people are, dude. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
what their deal is. Longclaw, right? For him, I do think that is the connective tissue for him, or where the motivation for exposition is. He's like, well, they're gonna tie up all the Longclaw stuff, right? In a satisfactory way at some point. And I'm just like, buddy, I don't know if I can make that promise for you, man.
We've been theorizing about that for a while. We thought that the Knuckles TV show they put out on Paramount Plus was going to tie some of that stuff up, because it's the last thing Sonic saw before he lost her was her going to war with the Echidnas, and then the portal closes. We don't know how that ended.
Right.
So we thought, oh, of course, it's the Knuckles show. They're gonna dig a little more into what happened, because that's a big part of his story too. And then it ended up being a sports comedy about Adam Pally and Knuckles learning from Stockard Channing about the Jewish faith.
Which, and I did watch a lot of Knuckles with him, casually, and I was like, oh, this is not how this show was marketed.
No.
I mean, I wasn't mad at it. It was fine, but I was also like, Okay, well, sure. If this is the direction it's going in, cool. All right, wonderful. What I don't understand. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't want to cut you off there.
No, I was going to say, like we all came out pretty positive on it, but
Yeah.
it is not what any of us, wanted or necessarily expected.
Totally. And that character's funny, right? And you're like, all right, well, so yeah, I think for me, like, the thing about Sonic, and this is like part of like what I'm asking you all to kind of help answer, is like the thing about Sonic is that he doesn't, at least there's like this origin stuff that like a lot of these, very sort of like famous legacy figures have, right? Like we all know what happened to Spider-Man. We all know what happened to Batman. We all know what happened to even Mario, in the way that like dude just loses his best friend all the time, cannot hold on to these people, whether it's the princess, whether it's like people are constantly being kidnapped all around him. That's more or less his origin. But I don't think the same is true for Sonic. Sonic's just kind of there. Right?
Yeah.
And I know that is maybe a very surface level examination of his background story, but he's just kind of there, and he's fast, and he's got other friends who are like always a different color than him, and for my kid, when he asks like what's his story, I kind of don't know what to tell him, and he is banking very much on Longclaw and like how that all sort of like relates to the thing. So I guess my question for you is like, give me an elevator pitch for Sonic's like origin story.
Oh, that is a very complicated question.
Super loaded.
It's not an elevator. Maybe it's a hike up a mountain, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like, we've been diving down rabbit holes. This is like, there are so many holes, it might as well be Swiss cheese.
Right.
But basically the whole backstory from the movies where, he had super speed as a kid, Longclaw protected him, he got separated from her. That's all more or less made up from the movies. Longclaw was more or less made up for those movies, sort of rooted in some early stuff. Like there were a lot of owl motifs in like some of the early Sonic materials. So they're like, okay, logical progression. Let's give him an owl as a caretaker.
Sure.
But in terms of the mainline games these days, Sonic, they have not really defined his origins beyond he saw Dr. Robotnik kidnapping a bunch of his friends and decided to step up and save the day. And that's not to say there weren't at some point, like, they didn't really have an origin like the original Japanese material. So there was a point where in Western fiction, mostly in Europe, his origin was that he was an ordinary hedgehog who discovered Dr. Robotnik back when he was known as the kindly Dr. Kintabor, Robotnik spelled backwards, and got his super speed and turned blue in a lab accident with him because back in the day, they're like, oh no, you can't just have a blue hedgehog. There's gotta be a reason for why he's super fast and looks like that. Not realizing that, oh, we're gonna have a bunch of other multicolored characters added over the years where this just seems kind of ridiculous. And then the origin from there was another lab accident that caused Robotnik was trying to instill all of the evils of the world into the Chaos Emeralds to free the planet from all this corruption, but something went wrong and it exploded. He absorbed all the world's evil, turning him evil into Dr. Robotnik. And that was like the definitive backstory for most of the European fiction for the better part of the 90s until the Dreamcast era, when they kind of reasserted the Japanese material and set that stuff off to one side because it's like, well, we didn't create it, so we don't really know what to do with it. The closest they ever came to reconciling that stuff was, oh, so we're going to name him Eggman like he's always been in Japan, but we're going to make it so his real, government name is Dr. Robotnik, like in the Western material, but Eggman is a mean nickname Sonic gave him that he just decided to reclaim, and that's why he goes by Eggman.
I love that. I love that like convenience shoehorning of all that stuff where it's just like, well, we got no other choice. This is what's on, on everyone's mind.
Yeah, it was kind of done by necessity because it's like, okay, we're going to be telling big complex stories with full voice acting and everything. We kind of need to get our ducks in a row, and in a way that some other companies have not always been the best at doing. Like, the one I obviously think of all the time is Street Fighter, where they switched around the name for Balrog, Vega, and Bison. And they've stuck with that, even though, years have passed. And it's gotten to the point where when people play those games professionally, they just refer to them as Boxer, Claw, and Dictator, so that you know who they're talking about no matter which language you're speaking.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think that is a very satisfying answer to an impossible question, right? Like, I think, it is. They don't. There's no PSAs out there. They don't tell you how to talk to your kids about Sonic. There's nothing out there that really lines you up for the series of questioning you will face after having exposed your child to Sonic. I guess when I went into Sonic 1, I'm like, all right, well, he's gonna save a bunch of animals, right? Like he's gonna pop open some robots, and a little chicken's gonna come out, and he's gonna be some sort of like PETA agent or something, right? Like he's gonna be this like environmentalist, and then you're like, nope, not at all, nothing. There's nothing there. And then I'm looking at this owl figure, and I'm like, well, I don't know where that's from either. I've got no memory of a big owl being what is it Sonic's mother figure? Okay, all right, well, that's cool.
For the sake of the movies, yes,
sure, right. And I do think, for what it's worth, like I think that is compelling. I think it is like as weird as it is compelling. And then I guess the worst part of it, you come back from that first movie and you're like, all right, that was it. How do you feel? I love Sonic. I want to watch more of Sonic. What does a real hedgehog look like? And then, and then you have a problem on your hands, because then you have to show your child what a real hedgehog looks like, and then there's just a lot of confusion, and it's like, oh, I just don't know what to say to you, buddy. That's just so. Yep, there you have it. I'm looking at a couple panels of Sonic being face to face with a real life hedgehog, and it just doesn't make sense. What was here's another question. Was the quill stuff ever a thing anywhere else? Or is that just for the movies as well?
That's mostly just the movies, but I think it's kind of just extrapolating. Well, they never really explain where his speed comes from.
Right.
So let's just, let's make it a superpower, basically.
Sure. Okay, I can live with that.
They obviously expanded on that a little bit more in the later movies with like, shadow and chaos energy and all that stuff.
Right.
And chaos energy is a thing that's been there before, technically. Right. Like in the various versions of Sonic is the idea that they've got powers, but the games usually don't really go into that very much. So that's something that they built upon from the movies to give a reason for why all of this is happening,
sure.
I suppose.
I'll say this. The movies, in my very specific order of operations, right, where I have a child who expressed almost zero interest in any of the games, then after we watched, Sonic 1 and 2, I was like, oh, maybe now's my chance to like throw, Genesis back in his face and see how he takes to it. I will tell you, there's now this sort of like disproportionate expectation for what the games need to be as a result of the movie popularity, right? So, for example, I was like showing him, one of the bonus zones where you can own a Chaos Emerald, right? And he's just like, what the hell are we doing here? He's like, why is this? Why is this how it happens? And it's funny because if you choose to kind of like approach it from this, in this weirdo, out of order chronologically speaking, it just does not compute for these kids. It is a fool's errand to try and shoehorn in that kind of stuff after, the lore dumps and all the other things that have been exposed to in the movies.
I think the best bet on that front is to try some of the more recent games like Sonic Frontiers and Sonic X Shadow Generations, where they are much more cinematic. Like
right.
Frontiers actually has a lot of internal lore to it, where they finally, reveal where the Chaos Emeralds come from. And there's a lot of like moments of Sonic and his friends like having these kind of deep conversations about, themselves and their motivations and what they think is going on with all this stuff. And Robotnik has a daughter and all this other stuff. And I think that would probably resonate a lot more with somebody who has gotten more into the movies and that sort of world.
I mean, and that is certainly going to be more of a sort of narrowing of kind of properties, right? Like, obviously, you know, to satisfy the kind of like logical symmetry there, but also, you know, you want to be able to like have one thing feed the other, right, and continue that connection. And certainly, you know, as these games continue to kind of come out, there will have to kind of be this, you know, homogeneous sort of connection, you know what I mean? Not one-to-one, of course, because we all know in Sonic that is impossible to do, but like some kind of DNA shared or otherwise, right, will probably show its face.
All right, I think we're almost to the end, but I do have one more fun trivia minigame I want to try.
All right.
This is called No More Music. So this is going to be a music trivia quiz. We are going to play some songs. Both half of them are Sonic, half of them are not. And Jeff, you need to tell us if you think they are from a Sonic game or not. We'll give you bonus points if you can identify where each one is from.
Okay.
Let's start with number 1.
This is the easiest one. Thank you.
Gotta start off easy. So is this from a Sonic game?
Yes.
Correct. Can you tell me which one?
Yes. I believe it's Green Hill Zone from the first game.
That is correct. 2 points to you.
And that will be the only points I receive. Very charitable point. That's the equivalent of putting your name on the test. Thank you.
You never know. You could get a lucky guess down the line.
Can I tell you?
Let's go.
I have to tell,
Please.
before we go to the next one, I can't believe I haven't shared this with you all. I need you to know that for the past 3 years, my phone wake-up alarm has been the version of Sonic of Green Hill Zone by who's the piano? John Baptiste, right?
Oh,
that is a very nice rendition of. It's just great wake-up music. I don't know what that says about me, but for the last 3 years, that piano rendition of Green Hill Zone, which I believe was in the first movie.
yes.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
Is what I wake up to every single morning.
That's fantastic. As someone who has also woken up to different Sonic music over the years, that is a great choice.
It is. Yeah. John Baptiste is the artist. He was. I believe he still is Colbert's band leader. But yeah, there's something so soothing and tranquil about his rendition of it. It's awesome.
For a split second, I did think you were going to say it was going to be the drowning music from Sonic, which some people have done. I regretted immediately.
That'll wake you up and have you jumping out of your window. Oh my god!
I'll always have a soft spot for Green Hill Zone. In fact, our you haven't heard it yet, but our theme song is a vaporwave, very nice version of Green Hill by our good friend Amy Waters.
Oh, cool!
It's just a nice song.
Yeah.
All right. Track number 2.
I think this is too MIDI, like, this doesn't feel real.
I mean, there were some pretty kind of MIDI-ish songs on the Saturn.
That is out of my wheelhouse. I will say no, this is not.
You are correct. Can you guess where it's from?
Oh my god.
Like, don't worry if you get it right. It's just, guessing for the sake of guessing.
Feels like pause menu screen for something. I have no idea.
It is the training music from International Superstar Soccer 64.
Okay. Very good.
Predecessor to the Pro Evolution Soccer series. Still,
interesting.
Like one of my favorite N64 sports games.
Yeah.
As somebody who owns every game.
Yeah, that's wild. Okay.
All right. Jumping forward to track number 3.
Oh my god, I think immediately, yes, it's Sonic.
That is correct. Want to take a guess at where this might be from?
I don't know, but I'll guess the console. Is this Sonic Adventure?
No, this is actually from Sonic Runners, one of the mobile games.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So it was like an endless runner, 2D endless runner game that got delisted several years ago. It's still a very good soundtrack, though.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I've taken up drums in the last few years, and I'm just like, that's the thing I hear first now in a lot of stuff, and I'm just, it's just, to me, it's just, there's, I know like what typical Sonic music kind of like comes from, and just hearing the arrangement, it's just, there is something kind of hilarious just about like Sonic music from a good place. Like, it is very good, like on the whole, extremely good. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Jumping forward to number 4.
Oh, this is some like boss battle stuff right here. It feels like
this is from a video game, but is it a Sonic game?
I'm going right with my gut here. I'm gonna say it's not.
That is incorrect. This is
what's it from?
Lava Mountain theme from Sonic Lost World.
Okay.
Which was the Wii U game. It was not very good.
Not Sonic Boom, that Wii U game, the other Wii U game.
Wow. Oh my lord. Okay. Fair enough. Interesting music. I think it's cool. Would not have pegged it at
this
Sonic.
was basically the like last level of that game.
Gotcha.
Rather than a big volcano.
Okay.
But jumping forward to number 5.
Oh, I want it to be Sonic. This rules.
It does sound like very Dreamcast era.
It does. Yeah. This reminds me actually of a band that I've always said sounds like Sonic music. Have you guys ever heard of the Norwegian band Moron Police?
I have heard of them. I'm not really familiar with their music, but I know the name.
Almost all of their music sounds like Sonic level stuff.
Oh,
I'm gonna check that up right now. That still works on.
Yeah, they're talking about selling them, or perhaps overselling them. But yeah, there's especially their like top ones on Spotify. You'll be like, oh my god, where have they been?
Yeah.
I think this does sound like Sonic. I'm open with being wrong here, but I hope it is.
That is incorrect.
No.
This is Blue Water, Blue Sky, Maze theme from Guilty Gear X2.
Oh, man. Well, maybe just everything sounds like Sonic to me. Is that what's happening?
I mean, that's the trick. I wanted to find tracks that sounded like Sonic music to try and trick you out.
Right. There you go. Well, mission accomplished.
I'm not even a Guilty Gear guy, but I am a big fan of the music because I just love this style.
Yeah.
Like even what was the vocal theme for a couple of games ago? Smell of the Game. I love that song because it is so genuinely like rockin' and also silly.
That's awesome.
All right. Track number 6.
I mean, I just love this.
Yeah, it's real good.
Oh, this is angry. Oh my god.
So what are you thinking?
I'm not remember. Again, just goes to show you how little of Sonic I've played in the last 20 years. I think I feel like this is meant to be a curveball. I'm just going with my gut of like taking tests here with you. I got a 50-50 shot. I'm going to say it is Sonic.
Unfortunately, no. This is the theme song from Let It Die, that Suda 51 game that came out a couple
Let
years
It
ago.
Die. Yeah, I was like, I can't remember any Sonic stuff with lyrics. I'm sure there is. But no, yeah.
There are some real good lyrical Sonic tracks over the years. This just is not one of them.
Let It Die was kind of recent, right? In the last decade or so, right?
I want to say they were previewing that at the one E3 I ever went to, which was 2017.
Sure, yeah, that sounds about right.
All right, so jumping forward to track 7.
You know what? I'm so lost in the sauce now. Everything sounds like Sonic to me.
Welcome to our world.
Right? You know, it's like my first thing is I don't think so, but also there's so much flexibility where you're like, I guess it could be Sonic. Yeah, I'm gonna say yes again.
That is correct. Do you want to guess what console this is for? I figure that's probably easier than guessing the individual game.
Yeah, definitely. So you know, the bare minimum of what generation this has to be. I'm gonna say it is PS2 generation.
Very close. This was Sonic Colors for the Wii. Came out in 2010.
Okay, right on.
You would have heard a version of this in Sonic Generations as well.
Yeah.
If you had that one on.
Okay. Very
this is
good.
The Planet Wisp theme. It's probably one of the more liked tracks from that game.
Right on.
All right. Number 8.
This is tripping me up.
Then I've done my job.
You have succeeded in many, many ways.
I don't know if it helps, and you have to take me at my word. If I was not looking at the answer key, these would trip me up as well. You are diabolical with this game, Luke.
Yeah, this is tough. This song means nothing to me. I can't place it in any meaningful way. I'm gonna say no.
That is correct. You want to try and guess the console on this one?
I'm gonna say. This feels like Dreamcast-y. It's just what I'll throw out there. I got nothing.
Again, very close. This is Catacrom 4 from Ratchet Deadlock, the fourth PS2 game.
Wow. Huh. Good pull.
Yeah. This sounds very similar to a lot of the tracks in that Shadow the Hedgehog game.
Okay.
So the moment I heard this, I'm like, okay, yeah, I need to throw this in there.
Okay.
All right. 2 more to go, starting with number 9.
Oh, come on. This is just meant to make me think like some kind of casino zone a little bit, maybe.
Sonic does love his casino
He
zones.
has a problem. No one's ever talked about that. Why are we not getting him the help he needs?
There is actually a very funny joke about casinos and slot machines in The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, the visual novel game that came out a couple of years ago.
The free April Fool's title.
Wow. I didn't realize we were up to that kind of naming convention with Sonic lore, but fair enough.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's a free game on Steam all about Sonic and his friends doing a murder mystery party on a train where he seemingly actually gets killed.
Jeez.
It's very good.
So at first my mind went to casino stuff, but there's something off about this. I know I'm just flipping a coin here, but I'm going to say no.
Good answer. Do you want to try and guess the console?
It almost sounds like a DS game, but the fidelity is like too much, I think. It's too good. Yeah, I'm gonna say like around then. I don't know.
The correct answer is PS3. This is Twinkle Star Risei's theme from Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, the Persona fighting game.
Okay. So close, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Also Sega published, so you're in that wheelhouse.
Damn. All right. Good job.
All right. One last one, track 10.
Oh my God. This has to be real. This has to be Sonic.
Oh, you are right on the money. Do you want to try and guess the console?
What? I'm just trying to go by like the music style. This feels like late 2000s. Like 08, 09.
Might have accidentally given you a clue earlier in the show.
Actually, now I want to put it a little later. Just thinking now that just think like Baby Metal needs to make a Sonic song now.
Oh, I would love that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm going to put this in like early 2010s. That's the best I can do, I think, here.
Good thought. This is Find Your Flame from Sonic Frontiers from 2022.
Okay. Yeah.
So all of the boss themes in that game are like intense screamo metal like this.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
Yeah. It's the beginning was a little like Linkin Parky, so I was like, oh,
Yeah.
maybe this is a little earlier, but now that we're just like riding double kick pedals, we're well on our way into the 20s. This is great.
Yeah, like that soundtrack might be one of my favorites for any song.
Yeah, I got to check that out. That's
Really
awesome.
hits
Very
all of
good.
the,
I mean, that is certainly another reason for my kid to check out Frontiers for the music, so for sure.
yeah, and that's the other great thing about the music too, is that it's exposed me to so many bands I would have never checked out otherwise, like Sleeping with Sirens, 10K Rock,
Yeah,
bands like that.
that's awesome.
And all of these boss fights you get to play as Supersonic to take on these giant like kaiju robots, if that helps in the elevator
it
pitch for
does.
Sonic Frontiers.
I think it does.
It's just all spectacle. It's fantastic.
Right on.
But yeah, here at the end of this game, your total score is 8. So more than half right, correct.
Again, I had an easier chance
that's a
here
B+.
with basically flipping a coin, but I'll take it. Thank you.
Yeah, you did a great job.
Right on.
But with that pretty much brings us to the end of our episode. So thank you so much again for joining us, Jeff. We now officially deem you the title of Sonic expert. You can put that on your LinkedIn. I'm sure that will, open up a lot of opportunities.
I mean, I maybe not on LinkedIn, but certainly where I work, that has a
That's
lot
true.
of sway. And I think I can take that title to very advantageous places. So thank you for that award. I assume I'll have to buy the plaque myself, right? I can put it on. I can go around saying it, but I'll need some sort of badge I can wear, and I'm sure we can work that out.
I mean, I'm sure that we know a couple people. We can probably get you a tiny Chaos Emerald you can put on your desk or something.
That would mean a great deal to me. So thank you. Hell yeah.
People in the office, in hushed tones, this guy knows Sonic.
He's got
oh my
that
god!
Chaos Emerald on his desk. It means business.
Yeah, make sure, put it under a glass case or something. You never know when Dan's going to like sneak in and try to like do some elaborate heist and turn it into content.
If it's not nailed down, it's definitely a concern. So yes.
Oh my goodness. Is Dan Reichert the Dr. Eggman of Giant Bomb?
I think
I mean, they have a similar, hairstyle. So.
Yes, that is an offense to Dr. Robotnik. Okay, don't speak ill of my man like that. Dan is way worse for sure.
I mean, maybe you gotta blend Dan and Minotti together, because it's like, he's got the penchant for showmanship and games, but he also is big into theme parks. So it's like, it's a balancing act.
I think you're right. Okay, I like this version of that.
Yes, thank you again so much, Jeff. To plug your stuff again, feel free to, talk about everything you got going on coming up.
Yeah, thank you so much again. This has been a lot of fun. If obviously you go check out Giant Bomb. We are, like we've said a few times already here, I hope you know by now, we are 100% independent, and we operate with your support, and that's how we get it done now. So everyone checking out giantbomb.com/join would go a long way. If you can support us, that's great. Thank you so much. And then
as somebody who has been a member for almost 15 years, it is well worth it.
Oh, I appreciate you saying that. That means a lot. Thank you.
Let me put it delicately. Not a lot of good news out in the world for the past blank months, years. The Giant Bomb going fully independent. So like when you go to giantbomb.com/support, that money is going directly to y'all, and you can hand that out as you see fit to guests and to be able to do segments people want to watch. It just warms the cockles of my heart. A tiny shred of proof that good things are possible. A better future we can work together starts with an independent Giant Bomb. I'm just thrilled for y'all.
Amen.
No, that means so much. I gotta say, that was by far the most overwhelming, unforeseen detail that came along with all of this news, was that people were just sort of injecting a bit of a W for however they needed to, shoehorn that in. And I that was something that I think I definitely lost track of while, just spending 24 hours a day with lawyers. But certainly really realizing, people finding that little peace of mind in this story that sort of happened here, was just super awesome to hear about. So yeah, I appreciate you saying that. That's tremendous.
Yeah, please go support what they do, because y'all are doing great work, and I look forward to worming my way in and getting your 4 compatriots on episodes of the show at some point.
Hell yeah. No, yeah, that's awesome. Thank you all for having me. This was a lot of fun. And then, I've also got the comic book, What Lies Below the Lilies. Go check it out. It's on Story Grounds. And hit me up on social, and there's a good chance I'll write you back, unless you're being mean to me.
As is the nature of social media, but not that you people who are listening. You guys are always very good.
Exactly, I'm sure.
Well, that does it for this wonderful Sonic 101 education episode. These are always a lot of fun. Thank you again to everybody for putting these together. Our Quizmaster Luke and your diabolical, warm-hearted hosting the game showness.
I'm turning into Dan Reichert. I can't stop it.
Oh,
no.
Slow down as much as you can, please.
I can't help it. I already like Donkey Kong 64. It's too late for me.
He's gone. We can't help you.
You can find us on Blue Sky at Sonic F, and also on YouTube, where you might be listening to this, at Sonic F Series. But you can find me on Blue Sky at jeremybaker.actor, and Game Buddy around the rest of the internet, sometimes with a 123 at the end.
And you can find me all across the internet, learning more things about Sonic, like the fact that people don't play the games anymore. It's terrifying. At Falero, that's F-A-U-L-E-R-R-O.
And you can find me in all sorts of different places at Cyberlink 420.
And I'm Jeff Bakalar. You can find me online everywhere. There's a thing to search my name. Just do the work and you find me because I am fine with nepotism.
Let that SEO work for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And a special thanks, as always, to Amy Waters for the use of our theme song from the album Gotta Go Slow, which, like I said, is a great like vaporwave lo-fi collection of a bunch of Sonic songs Amy has put together. Great album. But you can find out more of her work on various music services and YouTube and Bandcamp. Also, remember to subscribe, review, share the show. We all do this just for the love of the game, and we would appreciate it if folks just told other people about
the
it.
comic and the shows.
Oh yeah. All that stuff. But that does help optics, so thank you for liking, sharing, etc. I'll put out, as far as the comments on this one, I've had a lot of talk about if you came to Sonic not from the games, especially if you are younger than us on this show. I'd like to hear about it, because because I grew up with Sonic always as a game first and everything was a cool bonus. I love to hear stories of people who came to Sonic not from the games. So go right ahead. Let us know. Do that engagement thing. We like it. Be nice, though. But our next episode, oh, goodness, we are recording this much more in advance, but I think by the time this comes out, it might be time to start getting into the spooky frame of mind. So in celebration of Halloween, I think we are going to rank our favorite or best places to trick or treat in the Sonic franchise. So we're going to go through all of these spooky, scary zones.
I mean, I know there's
the
one
Sonic
that rises above the others, but we got to go through all of them. We can't just jump to that one.
But until then, I'll take us out. I've been Game Buddy.
I'm Falero.
I'm Cyberlink.
Oh, but I thought I did the line already.
Oh, you did?
Oh, no.
It was the nepotism line.
You actually just...
I
thought it was something you said legit. I thought you said that genuinely.
You thought I was just like going around being like, I hope my child is afforded all of the luxuries based on all of my successes and only my successes.
The capitalistic system is broken. Might as well use it to keep your progeny safe.
Oh, I thought I could have sworn we were doing it already. But
No.
yes, I'm Jeff Bakalar, and I'm perfectly okay and fine with nepotism.
Beautiful.
That one's
That's
on us.
so
Thank
funny.
you.
Oh my gosh.
No, I thought it's like, oh yeah, I love nepotism, mate.
Yeah. Just throwing that out there for the love of the game,
Well, this has been The Hill is Always Greener, and we will see you on the other side.
Look, he's already kicking your asses in Fortnite on stream. It's only a matter of time before he takes over the site.
You're telling me. I mean, I have to actively intercept his desire to become, to have his own YouTube channel already, and it's just like, buddy.
Oh boy.
I mean, it makes sense that he likes Sonic. He's already in, a heated rivalry with a balding man older than him, so.
That is true. That is absolutely true. He did say once to me, he's like, if I had to fight him, I wouldn't hurt him. He's told me before. I said, look, if you have to fight him, something else is very wrong. Oh, that's funny.